Alright, let's go back to Part Studio. We're going to create the side spars and the top spar. So this is going to connect out to the hoop, and then we'll make those connections. So let's go to top view. Let's click on the top plane. Let's go over here, center point circle, hover over the center. Let's drag that out. And let's go back up here to the dimension tool. Left click on the dimension tool. Left click on the outer part of that diameter, and let's go 0.48. So these will be a 1/2 inch in diameter. We'll make them a little smaller so that they'll fit in the hole we created on the connector. Alright, so we've got the circle created. Let's left click on that to close it out. Let's go back to front plane. Let's left click on sketch, left click on the front plane, left click on the line tool, hover over the center, drag that line out, left click, hit escape, come up to the dimension tool, left click, hover over that line, left click on that, drag that out. Let's make these 12 inches. Let's close that line out. Go to the navigation cube, left click on that to go to isometric. Let's zoom in by using the mouse wheel. Let's go over to sweep, left click on that, make sure it's solid new, faces to sketch, click on the circle, left click on swept path, and then click on the line. Close that out, scroll out. Let's go over to the thread tool, left click on the thread creator. Let's do this by distance. Let's go 2 inches. So we've got this arrow here, so that means these threads will be created at the end of this cylinder. Let's left click on that. Alright, there's those threads. Let's close that out. Let's repeat that process, but for the other end. Left click thread creator. Let's switch the direction. Let's say by distance and enter 2 inches. Left click on the cylinder. Now it made those threads. Let's close that out. Now instead of being able to print these one at a time, just like the previous connections we've made, or the previous support tubes we've made, we're going to have to join these. So we'll make a group of 4. We only need 3, but it'll give us an extra one to work with. Front and right plane. Let's highlight part 14. Let's go up here and click on mirror. We'll make sure it says new. It's asking mirror plane. Let's select this right plane. Let's make sure it is new. So it's going to, sometimes it'll switch over to add. Make sure it's new. You notice now we have part 15 down here. Let's close that out. Let's select part 15 and let's go over here to transform and do transform by X, Y, and Z. Alright, now it's going to allow us to move it. I'm going to go back to front plane. I'm going to left click on this. I'm just going to pull that out. There we go. So that we can get these apart after they're printed. Alright, close that out. So now we have 2. I'm going to go over here to right plane, left click right plane. Let's go to center point circle, come down, scroll up, right in the center, and let's drag that out. Let's go up here. Let's make another one. Alright, good. Now let's zoom in. Let's make these 1/4 of an inch, so 0.25. Let's make this one 1/4 of an inch. So I'll left click on the outer part of that circle and drag away. Sorry, I gotta get in here and get close. There we go. That one's already 0.25, so it scaled it for us. That one's in a pretty good location. This one, that's fine too. They don't have to be in an exact location. Let's close that out. Let's go back to isometric view. Let's highlight that sketch that we just created. Let's go up here to extrude. Should be solid new. And so you can see it connecting there. It's actually coming out of the side, so I don't want the depth to be an inch. Let's go, because it's coming out of the center of that first one. So we know it's deep enough there, but we don't want it poking through the other side, creating a weakness all the way through. So let's go 0.5 inches, hit enter. And now what I want to do is come down here and look at this in front view. Let's make sure that is actually making the connection. Sorry, I'm going to pull that out just a little bit so that I know it's centered up. Let's close that out. So those are joined. We're going to join these into one part. So left click and then highlight all 4 of those. Right click on that and hit bouillon. And then close that. So let's go back to front view. Let's look. Alright, that's what we wanted. Let's go back up here to isometric view. Let's highlight part 14. Let's go back and do a mirror image again. Left click. So now we need to find the plane we want to copy it in. I'm going to go to this other side. Let's look at it in right plane and see what happens when we select for the mirror plane. Let's select right plane and just see if it copies it in the direction we want. Alright, there it is. Close this out, highlight part 15, go up here to transform, we'll go to X, Y, and Z. Alright, let's go to top view real quick because we want to pull this one back. The X plane, let's move that 0.65. We'll do it by keys since I have a slow connection. And that should move it over. We're going to go back to front plane. We're just going to create a connection here and here to join those. So let's left click on sketch, left click on front plane, left click center point circle, hover over the center and bring that up. Right around in here would be good. Let's draw that out. And then let's come over, left click, draw that one out. Good. Let's zoom in with the wheel. Come up to the dimension tool, left click on that and go 0.25. It's okay that it moved it. We're gonna hold down on, we're gonna turn off the dimension tool and I'm gonna move this one over manually. It'll keep it parallel so you notice how those two will move, but I'll try to center it up right there in the center. Good, that's good enough. We don't have to have it exact because we're just going to join these and we're going to cut those in half anyway. So left click on that sketch we just created. Let's go to extrude. We want solid, new. We actually want it going in the other direction. And we want, let's say about 5. That should bring that back a little bit. Let's close that out. Let's go to left view and let's zoom in and make sure that's connected. It is. So we're good there. I'm just going to look at it from top view. Yeah, looks like we're connected there. Let's highlight all of those over here. Everything we just created from part 14 to 17. We'll highlight part 14, hit shift and then left click. That highlights everything. Right click and then hit bouillon. And that'll join those. Good. So let's rename this. Right click, hit rename, top and side spars. And let's go over here. Right click on that again. Edit appearance. Let's give it a green. Close that out. Let's go back to isometric view. Remember we made an assembly tube just for assembly view that we could put in. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Same process as before. I'm going to go to top view. I'm going to left click on sketch, left click top view, left click center point circle, hover over the center, draw that out, come back up here, left click on that, make it 0.48, hit enter. This is not for printing, this is just for assembly view on the computer. Close that out, go back to front view, left click on sketch, left click on front view, left click on the line tool, hover over the center, draw that out, left click, hit escape to stop the line tool, left click dimension tool, hover over the line, draw that out. Let's go 12 inches, hit enter, close that, go back to isometric view, come over to sweep, select the circle, make sure it's solid new, left click swept path, left click on the line, that'll form the cylinder, close that out, left click on the thread tool, we'll come down to distance and we'll go 2 inches on the threads. Left click on the cylinder, it's going to form those threads at the end. Close that one out. Let's go back to the thread tool, go back to distance under fully threaded, do 2 inches again. We need to change the arrow so that now when we click on the cylinder, those threads should form there. Close that out. So I'm going to right click down here. We're going to rename this, and it's going to be top and side spars for assembly. I'll just put view so that makes it even easier to understand what we're doing. Let's right click, edit appearance, and then let's change the color. Alright, good. So now we can put that into assembly view. We're going to pop those in here. Let's go insert. Let's go to part 15. Let's bring this over. Left click and then close that out. Come back to top view. Left click. Let's drag these down into position. Pretty close there. Left click over here, left click on the right side. Let's see which way we want to rotate that. There we go. We'll rotate it right around that point. Let's go 90 degrees. Good. Go back to top view. Let's rotate this one. This won't be 90. Probably around 45, 50 degrees, I would assume. I'm going to click on this square so I can kind of move that into position without rotating it. We're going to have to rotate a little bit more. I'm going to hold down on the mouse wheel and move that. So let's go. So that should be about 50 degrees. May have to do a little bit more than that. Let's go 60. And now I want to go over here to right view and bring that down. Left click on this one, left click on that. I'm going to copy those. Copy 2 items. I want to come over here and I want to paste those 2 items here. What I'm thinking is it may be easier to rotate both of these together. So if I rotate that around, will that be easier than trying to join that up? And we'll get the angles right later on. But right now we just need to get these into position and then I'll delete that other one. Alright, that looks pretty close. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So let's go back. Left click that, disengage, and just see how everything's matching up. Alright, good enough for what we're doing right now. We'll have to adjust this over time. So we need to go back up here and highlight that other part 4. Let's delete that one. Delete that. Alright, so we got the side spars in. Insert. Go down, part 15. Let's bring that up pretty close to where we want it. Now it won't be in the right location yet. Close that out. Let's go up to top. So let's rotate it this way and then we'll move it back some. Again, we'll get the angles later. Alright, let's close that out and see where we're at. That looks pretty good. Alright, so we got assembly view. Let's go back to Part Studio. Let's go down here to Part 14. Let's turn that on. Let's right click. Let's export. And let's export that, and then we'll bring it into Bamboo Studio. Let's go to Part 14. Let's open that. Let's go up here and scale that down to 50. Left click on that, bring it wherever we want. Left click on that again, preview. And then that should take about 2 hours and 4 minutes to print that off. I'll do this print from another computer and then send. Alright, prints are finished. So these are the spars in a group of 4. I'm going to move these back in here for now. I'm going to put these in my vise and cut those real quick. Alright, so we got those separated. We just need 3. I'm going to clean the ends of this so they'll thread down in there pretty good. And then we'll try it out. These were 0.48, that's 0.51 I believe, maybe 0.52, I can't remember. Pretty close to it. But we're still going to need to clean the threads. We only need to run these down just a little ways. So I'm going to do that for each one, and then we'll run those down. Just run that down. Ooh, that shocked me. Alright, we got that one. Let's run one of the side spars in. Like, we'll get the angle later on. Once we get the hoop set up, and we get it inserted, we can kind of measure this angle. So that one has threaded all the way down. That one's in there pretty good. I can fill it on the other side. Now we'll thread that one. Alright, we got our side spars and top spar.